Hello there, fandoms of the world. My name is the Geek Theorist, and oh boy, this is something new for us, huh? I'm gonna be honest with you all, I'm a little bit mad right now. And as such, this video is gonna be a bit different from what we usually see here on the channel. See, for the most part, I try to keep my videos as objective as possible, and I don't really let too much personal bias or even all that much of my personality come through with my commentary, other than the occasional joke here and there. But today, things are a bit different. And if you read the title of this video, you probably know why. That being said, while I'm definitely changing my commentary style a bit for this video, I just want to say that this video is not meant to be hostile in any way. I'm not looking to start fights in this fandom. However, I will be responding to JAC OneManBand's video, which is bound to cause some discourse. So, if you're not interested in this kind of style of commentary, or if you're just trying to avoid the discourse, I'd say this is not the video for you, and you should probably skip it. If you're still interested, let's get right into things. So, for those of you who aren't aware, a relatively popular RWBY YouTuber by the name JAC OneManBand recently put out a video titled RWBY Talk, The Divided Fandom, which, it's all well and good. I think it's admirable to try and address the toxicity of some parts of the fandom. I've tried to do so myself a couple of times before on Tumblr, to varying levels of success. So let's see what the big issues in the fandom JAC tackles in this video are, shall we?
Bumbleby. I don't believe in Bumbleby. Bumbleby, a lesbian, gay, bi, trans character. Gay, lesbian, bi, trans character. Bumbleby penis.
Oh, I see we're in for a ride here.
There's a point where it tips, there's a point where it breaks, there's a point where it bends, and a point we just can't take anymore.
Part 1. The disclaimer. So the video starts out with this helpful little disclaimer, basically saying that my dude is only voicing his opinion, and that this is in no way meant to offend anyone or cause problems in the community. He tells us right off the bat that if you're someone who can't take criticism, that you should not watch this video. Which is all well and good, except that this whole disclaimer is only here so that if anyone disagrees, they clearly just weren't able to take the criticism and shouldn't have watched the video. Also, here's a little tip. If you don't want to cause problems in the fandom, it's probably not a good idea to alienate an entire portion of your audience right off the bat. Just a thought. Part 2. The not terrible part. The video starts out well enough. JAC expresses some legitimate concerns about the fandom and the way certain issues are handled.
When I go on Team Theory, or I go on any of the other big RWBY sites, like on Facebook, that I see people getting mad and pretty much waging war over the smallest of things, and people having arguments about things to the point where it just gets terrible, where there's name calling and people state that others are bullying them, and it's gotten to a boiling point where many people have come out and have stated their opinions on certain things.
This is all true. Often in this fandom, rather than legitimate discussion, people immediately get angry and will respond with hate to others who disagree with their views on an issue. It's a real problem, especially when some people are going out of their way to target groups who are in disagreement with them and seemingly try to cause issues. This isn't a video on issues in the fandom, however. This is a response to JAC's video. So what are these problems which have caused so much division in the fandom then? Part 3. Just like Volume 3, this is the part where everything goes wrong.
Okay, I said a long time ago that I would never make a video about ships. But one of the big factors of this video that I'm making is the complete venom that was especially birthed from the 3rd episode of Volume 4 of RWBY, where you had people who ship Black Sun and people who ship Bumbleby literally at each other's throats.
So right off the bat, my guy is misunderstanding a lot of what went on after episode 3 aired. Namely that it had nothing to do with shipping so much as it did with, you know, the literal stalking and overall uncomfortable behavior of a certain character. Calling it just about shipping is a way to trivialize the legitimate criticism of the show and its characters, to delegitimize the argument and make the people talking about it seem petty. And that's wrong.
Now, this not only applies to Bumbleby, because I don't support Bumbleby at all, but this does kind of also apply to Black Sun.
You know what? At least he's being objective. It's true, there are people on both sides who cause problems in the fandom. I'm glad that there's no targeting of one side specifically, and
No. It won't apply to all ships. I should just say that this argument applies to Bumbleby by itself.
oh yeah, okay, or that then. Part 4. He does not support Bumbleby.
I do not support Bumbleby.
So this is the part where most of you probably turned off the video and realized that you just wasted about 5 minutes of your life. I honestly don't even have any words right now. Like, I'm sitting here, I was writing my script for this video, which I'm eventually going to put into these words right now, and I'm struggling to explain just how much of a violation this is when it comes to the basics of argument. Jake is trying to make a legitimate point here. He's trying to explain why the fandom is experiencing issues right now and what the cause of those issues is, and yet he's not even trying in the slightest to remain objective. He is openly stating that he would be legitimately angry if one ship became canon, while simultaneously blaming the supporters of that ship for the problems in the fandom. Which would all be well and good. After all, there are plenty of people on the internet sharing their biased opinions and hating on certain ships. We just realize that it's wrong and move on, right? Except that as of right now, this video has over 10,000 views and an inexplicably high like-to-dislike ratio. Are people not even watching the actual video? Do they just not understand that it's wrong to bring your bias into this kind of situation?
When you look at Bumbleby, okay, yes, it was funny when, you know, oh, black and yellow makes Bumbleby, ah, it's so funny, funny, you know, that was cool, but now, Bumbleby gained popularity, I think, solely on the name, and because these two characters were, I don't know, the most pretty, I don't know.
I think I might be tapping out, guys. I'm not sure how much more I can take.
The thing with Bumbleby is people want it to happen so bad that they're willing to blind themselves from something that's obviously happening. You know, Black Sun, Sun Wukong and Blake Belladonna being a couple is pretty much already a thing. They were kind of a couple through volumes 1 through 3, and now they're back together in volume 4. Now, does this mean that they're vigorously ramming each other's genitals against each other? No.
I'm at a loss for words. Is this what heteronormativity is like? Can you really feel like your ship is a legitimate couple based on almost zero evidence just because one is male and the other is female? Do you just get to skate by in life, knowing that you will always get the pairing you want in the end? I need answers, damn it. How can anyone be this wrong and yet feel so right? So entitled?
Now, I don't believe in Bumbleby. I don't think it will happen. But I am totally open to somebody logically arguing with me with it. Like, tell me why Bumbleby will happen, why it should happen, and give me details on why it would be good to the story.
Part 5. This part is honestly so bad I couldn't think of a title.
I have seen so many posts on Facebook and stuff where people have supported a ship. It didn't have to be Bumbleby, it could be any ship. And anyone who posted a counter argument was instantly shot down with hate and the whole now ships in the most case are bad.
What?
The whole concept of shipping in a show is supposed to be for fun. It's supposed to be silly. And, at least in my opinion, shipping is made to, just have fun. It isn't supposed to translate into the actual canon of the show.
This part of the video just baffles me. And there's two reasons why I find it so bewildering. First of all, he literally went from talking about Black Sun being canon not a couple minutes earlier to saying that shipping should never affect how we view canon. You can't just sit there and argue that one ship is canon over another and then turn around and say, but shipping is bad and you should never hope for a ship to be canon, because it makes you look like a massive hypocrite. The second big issue here is, who the hell doesn't want their ship to be canon? We all, for the most part, love seeing our ships interacting and ultimately want them to get together. Sure, there are some people who would just say, look, wouldn't those two character designs go well together? Or, look, wouldn't it be funny if those two got together? But for the most part, we ship because we see signs or the potential for a relationship within the narrative of the show, and we're hoping that those signs translate into an eventual relationship. So no, there's absolutely no problem with hoping that your ship becomes canon, whether that be Bumbleby, Black Sun, or whatever else.
Part 6. The show isn't centered on romance, but it totally is.
The demand that people have for certain ships to happen is what makes me mad. It's what really, just grinds my gears, because you're demanding something of a show that doesn't even center around romance.
Huh?
Part 7. Listen to the way this man says lesbian, gay, bi, trans.
Now, the second big advocate of this whole division in the RWBY community is the whole concept behind the lesbian, gay, bi, trans character.
Please, say those words with some more vitriol.
Part 8. The worst part of the entire video.
The following segment is the worst part of the entire video. You have been warned.
Now, when that was announced, people went absolutely bonkers, shouting anyone and everyone to be the gay or lesbian person. And it's just like, slow down. Give us context. Give us reason why this person is gay or lesbian.
Wait, what?
And it's like, here's the thing. A gay and lesbian character isn't truly needed in a show.
What?
But they can be put into a show. There are instances where this kind of character will, make a show better or add something to the show.
Oh my god.
And, I'm okay with them putting a gay or lesbian character in RWBY. If it adds to the plot and adds to character development, fine. Yeah, it's cool.
Oh really? Does Rooster Teeth have your permission? So yeah, basically this is the point where the video goes from just poor, misguided YouTuber with relatively good intentions to something legitimately offensive and insidious. The implication here, hell, not just the implication, but what he is quite explicitly stating, is that it's okay for queer characters to be in a narrative just as long as they add something to the narrative for everyone else. They can't just be there because, people are people and some people are queer. No, unless there's a specific reason within the narrative for them to be queer, then it's unacceptable. This is heteronormative, homophobic bullshit. I know I haven't been exactly nice throughout this video, but I'm done pulling any punches. This is fucking disgusting.
Part 9. The part where I get all SJW up in this bitch.
This whole thing where people are demanding ships be made canon and demanding these gay, lesbian, bi, trans characters to be put into the show it grinds my gears.
Let me stop you right there to explain something. You have no understanding of two important concepts, and that's why your opinions are so ignorant. The first is the idea of queer representation, and the second is the concept of queer baiting. You act like it's so wrong for people to be asking for or demanding that a queer character or queer characters are revealed because you've never had to watch an entire show where people like you are never given proper representation. RWBY, and almost every other show in existence, are focused on straight, cisgendered individuals. All you've ever known in your entire life is representation. So you automatically see it as wrong that so many people are begging for queer representation. But you're wrong. All we want is a strong, well-developed character to represent our community and our culture. And despite the fact that we've been promised as much on numerous occasions, such a character has yet to appear. So of course people are getting a bit antsy at this point. And as for queer baiting, you yourself have said that Rooster Teeth has been a factor in teasing the fans with shipping notions. I made an entire video detailing all the reasons why it makes sense for Blake and Yang to become a couple based on what we've seen from this show. At this point, people genuinely have every right to be upset if the ship doesn't happen. Because queer baiting is wrong and damaging, and as much as I'd love to rant on it for hours, I need to make this as succinct as possible. So just take it from someone who has actually been there. Queer representation is important, and queer baiting is wrong. People are allowed to demand a queer character.
Part 10. Bi and pansexuals don't exist. Also, neither does reasoning.
The thing is that I've seen so many posts and people voicing their opinions on this matter that this isn't what RWBY is about, just for them to get shot down and belittled and claimed that they're bullying and, putting down other people's views in favor of their own, when it's like, they're just voicing their opinions. Just like you are. Only you're saying that them voicing their opinions is wrong because they're affronting on your opinions. Guess what? People have different opinions about shit.
Calm down, my dude. Also, I better not get called another Bumbleby shipper who can't take criticism after this little rant here.
You can't change someone else's opinion by just stating that yours is different. You have to give them reasons why your opinion is better than the others. Like, I can give you reasons right now why the Bumblebee ship doesn't work. And I know all you Bumblebee shippers are going to hate me for this.
Well, I doubt your argument will be cohesive enough for me to actually hate you for it, but go on.
Here's the thing with how Bumblebee doesn't work. This is an example of how to present your argument to someone so that
And are the awkward pauses and peculiar choice of words necessary or optional?
Bumblebee won't be a canon ship because, 1, both Blake and Yang are attracted to male members of their related species. They're attracted to boys, to men, to penis, okay?
This is just gross? Like, I honestly threw up in my mouth a little bit at his utterance of the word penis. Please, never say that word in that tone of voice ever again.
Blake, we have seen, is attracted to Sun, and they were basically a couple, if you will, for 3 freaking volumes. Yang, on the other hand, when they had the slumber party with all the new arrivals at Beacon back in Volume 1, she showed a particular interest in the male physique. Now, I know you people will argue, oh, people can change their sexual identity,
Around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces.
All the interactions that Blake and Yang have had, especially during Volume 2, were not romantic at all. It was purely platonic. The fact is that these two characters are not attracted to their own sex. They're attracted to the opposite sex. And that's why Bumbleby won't work. And the only way it will work is if the writers go into the story and completely change these characters from what they truly are and just messing with the whole dynamic of their characters as a whole. Meaning that their characters would go backwards. They wouldn't develop much. They would be totally scooped, if you will, and then replaced with something that isn't Blake and that isn't Yang.
So this is the second worst part of the entire video, and I'm sorry that I made you watch it without warning you. I've already gone into extensive detail in another video explaining why Blake and Yang very clearly have been in scenes together which show romantic attraction to one another, so I'm not going to bother explaining that again. If you want to, though, go watch that video and see why my dude here is wrong. Blake and Yang could be bi, they could be pan, hell, Blake could even be a lesbian. We're given no proof that this is not the case. But more importantly, however, is this toxic notion that Blake or Yang being queer would change who they are as characters. That their sexuality determines who they are as characters and as people, and that making them queer would take them backwards rather than forwards. Again, we see just how homophobic Jake can be, and again, it's disgusting.
Part 11. RWBY has never been a show about sexual identity or pairings.
RWBY has never been a show about sexual identity or pairings. There have been people I have seen on the internet that have been fans for a long time, but are now, due to the fandom, doubting what RWBY is about, what the show is about, and that's what broke my heart.
This part is just hilarious. I'm sure you'll find a way to make it through it, bucko. But hang on, because my favorite part of the video is coming up. The part where he just entirely talks himself in circles and can't even seem to figure it out himself.
To anyone who doubts what it means, I want you guys to go back and watch the Red trailer, the original Red trailer. That right there demonstrates the core of what RWBY is about. RWBY is about girls with oversized and crazy weapons killing monsters.
It should come as no surprise to anyone that our friend here thinks that the trailer with no dialogue, no real characterization, and just a girl with a big-ass weapon fighting monsters is what the show is truly about.
Not only the Red trailer, but the other 3 original trailers as well represent core factors of the show.
So here, he decides he was wrong before, and that actually all 4 of the original trailers are what the show should be about. Which is all well and good, it's okay to change your mind, but let's hear him try and explain it further.
These 4 trailers show us what the show is going to be about. And those are the aspects of what this show should be about. Killing giant monsters with awesome weapons, having deep and meaningful meanings, both from visuals, audio, and music, showing that there's going to be, times where characters stop and talk, and that there's going to be much deeper plot lines, and that there's going to be comedy in the show.
So now we've gone from, this show is just about girls fighting monsters with big weapons, to, this show is about girls fighting monsters with big weapons, and also there's deep and meaningful plot lines and visuals/audio, and also comedy. That's a bit of a difference, I would say.
None of those trailers really reflect on, a pair. I mean, sort of the Black trailer does, but that was to show the more complexity of the show and that there's more than just these girls that are fighting and, stuff like that.
So you're saying the show explores complex relationships and isn't just a show about girls fighting?
RWBY is about girls with oversized and crazy weapons killing monsters. For the most part, those 4 trailers don't show that this show is going to be, romantic centered, where it's going to be, a story about 2 characters trying to get together and ramming each other's genitals against each other.
I like how his entire perception of romance and love is ramming each other's genitals together.
Those 4 trailers didn't also show, someone struggling with sexual identity or anything like that.
You know what else the trailers didn't show?
People in this fandom are taking RWBY and making it and visualizing it into something that it's not. And for me, and for a lot of fans that I know, that's kind of just putting us off. This is it's showing us that these people don't care as much about this show than we do.
That's right, folks. If your wish is for the show to tackle deep themes, topics, and relationships, you don't care as much as the people who just want to see girls mindlessly fighting with giant weapons.
That's where I think this great divide in the fandom comes from. We have so many different divisions and factions in this fandom that's all divided because we have differing opinions and we're not allowing ourselves to just enjoy the show as it is.
This right here is one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to media. People act as though it's inherently wrong to criticize shows like RWBY and ask them to be better. As though pointing out the problems of a show makes us bad people. When the truth is, if we didn't criticize media, it would never improve. It would never adapt to changing socio-political climates in the changing industry. Criticism makes media better. Don't vilify people for offering criticism.
I'm just trying to let you guys know that the show, RWBY, isn't about these things. It's about these things.
It's not about the things you want it to be about. It's about the things I want it to be about.
How can you deny what RWBY is really about? It's about these girls fighting monsters, saving the world. And I think fans have lost sight of that or just have never bothered to look for it.
Yes, the people who are searching the show for deeper and more poignant themes just never bothered to look for the theme of girls fighting monsters. How could we have been so blind?
Part 12. It's finally over.
But this video's gone on long enough.
Yes.
I've ranted and rambled way too long.
Yes.
I'm gonna get hate for this, I know.
Yes.
But somebody had to say something.
No.
The thing is, I just want the RWBY fandom to be united again. I want us to be united in this show that is supposed to be fun. Is supposed to be awesome. I don't want us to be arguing about things that don't matter in the show, like ships or sexual identity. Those things don't matter in the show. They don't need to be the forefront of the show. That's what a lot of people are arguing for, is that these two things need to be on the top of the food chain.
What? Nobody wants that. Nobody that I've seen has ever said that RWBY needs to be about ships. We just want them to happen within the already established narrative.
So, you want RWBY to be a show about ships and gender identification, instead of a show about awesome fights, an awesome world, and people killing monsters with awesome weapons. That's not a show that I would want to watch.
Trust me, you've made it very clear that you wouldn't want to watch a show about deep relationships and struggles with sexuality.
That's not RWBY. I want the other one. I want the RWBY that is what Monty wanted.
The same Monty that was adamant that a certain character be queer? The same Monty that gave us multifaceted, interesting characters with complex relationships. What you're describing sounds nothing like what Monty would have wanted. Monty knew how to tell a compelling story centered around action. It was never just about the weapons and the fighting. It was all grounded within an intricately woven narrative and likable characters. So don't act like you know what Monty would have wanted.
Part 13. My thoughts.
Basically, the rest of the video is just Jake rambling at the camera in a weird voice before it ends. So what are my final thoughts? As much as I want a unified RWBY fandom, this video does nothing to join anyone together. Rather, it's a thinly veiled call-out video to express hate towards Bumbleby shippers and people who have been asking for a queer character in RWBY. I know I've been pretty rude throughout the course of this video, and many of you probably weren't used to that, but this was one issue where I just couldn't remain the objective voice behind the graphics. This one really hit home with me. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and be sure to leave a like or subscribe if you did. And drop a comment down below telling me what you think of the whole situation. This has been the Geek Theorist. Until next time.